Hello there, everybody. This is Carrie Hamblen, the CEO and President of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, and I'm bringing to you again another one of our special partnerships that we have with our friends at the South Central Solid Waste Authority. It is the authority in your neighborhood. The whole point of this partnership with our friends at SCSWA is to uplift and highlight all the amazing things that are happening out at the South Central Solid Waste Authority. Now, there's a couple locations. We've got the recycling center up off of Loman. We've got the recycling center and the landfill down on Amador, and then there's the Corralitos landfill. But I think, one of the things that we're talking about, and I'm glad that you're the second in line for this, Daniel, is Daniel Ortega, who is the recycling foreman, I'm going to be really, say this five times really fast, Recycling Operations Foreman.
Whew. You got it.
I got it. It's so good to see you, Daniel. How are you doing today?
Excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing so well. So, the whole idea of this is to really understand what happens through the South Central Solid Waste Authority. And there is so much. We've already spoken with Jose, who is the new executive director. And there's just, we think about recycling and what you're doing. And you've been recycling foreman for 6 years, but you've been there for about 9 years. And people, I think, may or may not understand that recycling is so much more than bringing cardboard, cans, and glass to the recycling center. Can you tell us about all the ways that residents can use the services that you've got out there? Because it's not just those three things. There's a lot that people can recycle or that you'll dispose of.
That's correct. So we do, aside from the items you mentioned, we also here at our main location here at 2855 West Amador, we also take tires, we take refrigerators, we take TVs, we take electronics. We also take petroleum products such as gas, oil, antifreeze, and we also take cooking oil, used cooking oil. Um, Aside from that, we do also do household hazardous waste items, and we also do paints. Now we do take batteries, but there is a very gray area there, if you will. So a lot of folks, they tend to bring us alkaline batteries. Unfortunately, the alkaline batteries are the only things that we do not take, and we encourage our customers that do bring them to go down to Batteries and Bulbs Plus, located on Loman. They do take them. I believe it's for a small fee, and it's per pound.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we'll still take your RV, marine, motorcycle, and car batteries. Oh, and especially lithium batteries. We want to make sure we capture those and that they do not wind up in the trash.
Well, and that's because they've got precious metals in them, right? And that's why, the whole point of the recycling is to keep things that don't break down and put them back and try and reuse.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
And so there's a lot, because I go to the recycling center quite a bit. The glass recycling, the Green Chamber was very proud to be a part of, since that started in 2014. Your former director, Patrick Peck, when we worked with him on that, we know that recycling is not a moneymaker. It is something that is good for the community, and that's why that is being done, is because it's good for the community, it's good for the planet. Let's see what we can do. And so with the glass recycling, we've got that. And then, with the hazardous waste materials. And so I go out a lot, and actually I'm cleaning my garage right now, and I've got a little bin from old paint cans that I'm going to be bringing out to you all and really appreciate. But how do you coordinate all of that? Because there's so much going on out there.
So we have a small team here at our recycle center. You did mention the satellite center that we have up there off of Sonoma Ranch. That satellite center is unmanned, unfortunately, but that one is strictly for the collection of commingled material. And then there's area for glass drop off too. Of course, color coordinated bins are available for the folks. Here we have a small team of 4, which we have 2 heavy equipment operators, and I also have 2 laborers. What we do is, as far as the paints go, we go and we make sure that we're receiving products that are wet mainly. This is the dry paint. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can do with that. So, and we segregate it once our bin gets full, and we do work with a vendor by the name of ACT Enviro. The specific chapter of that company is based out in Chaparral, New Mexico,
Mm,
and they come out. I want to say it's
hmm
every quarter or every quarter, and they go and take an inventory of all our household hazardous waste, paint included,
hmm
and they'll set us up a quote, and we'll get it. They're the pros, and they'll get it disposed of or recycled as need be. So everything that they do, of course, goes through a process. You know, they try to take out contaminants and try to use whatever they can of the items. And then, of course, they have their disposal methods when necessary.
Yeah. Well, then the other things that you take in terms of like recycled appliances, refrigerators, dryers, washers, and TVs. And the whole point with especially the electronics is really to get those rare earth metals or compounds out of them. And so are the TVs still and the computers still sent to Arizona?
Um, No, they are no
Oh, okay.
longer in Arizona. We do
Okay.
work with a another vendor out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, E-Tech Recycling.
Mm-hmm.
We were actually very fortunate. Myself and Brandy were attending an NMED recycling certification course, and we met the CEO who was also taking that course. And he said, I'd like to speak with you all a little bit more, see how we can be of service. And it turned out to be a really great contact. Um, we also met another gentleman there, Albuquerque Recycling, I think is what it was called. Nonetheless, great gentleman also, but E-Tech Recycling, really stood out to us, and we've been working with them now for almost a year, give or take.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And a couple of years ago, we had an issue with certain plastics that had, certain numbers on them because China wasn't taking them anymore. And then we had the issue with the recycling plant down in El Paso, I think, not continuing to
Mhm.
operate.
So
Sorry
they're
about
still
that. Mhm.
no problem. So they are still in operation. They did go through a buyout, so now they are their new name, which used to be Friedman Recycling,
Right.
is now Barco Recycling. Um, they're up and running, and they do accept
Okay.
everything. Of course, they have their markets and stuff that they wind up letting that product go to in the very end. But nonetheless, we still take everything here too. But what's more encouraged is going to be our ones, twos, and threes.
Right. Right.
But and the reason for the larger plastics, right, is they don't have resources. Okay, so what I mean by the larger numbers, five, six, and seven, those are going to be like your playground slides, your big bulky items such as like even picnic tables and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we really here and over there we don't have the resources to just dedicate somebody would sit there with a sawzall and cut that stuff into strips, because
Yeah.
really that's the only way it'll be taken. So they'll take it, but they're more after the ones, twos, and threes also.
Well, and also, and we're talking about like, yes, this is recycling, but the whole point of reduce, reuse, and recycle is to try not to create a demand for it in the first place.
Mhm.
Because once we stop creating a demand for it, then you don't have to worry about how we can divert this from the landfill and
Correct.
repurpose it.
Mhm.
So, ultimately, yes, it's great that we have recycling, but if you can do something to not have to demand that use in the first place, and we talk about like water bottles,
Mhm.
we've got the stainless steel water bottles that are reusable instead of creating a demand for that very thin plastic water bottle, which doesn't break down. It's not fun to recycle,
Oh,
and so we really want to try and help promote more of repurpose and not create the demand in the first place.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
And so, as we finish up today, Daniel, there's so much more, and we're going to learn a whole lot more about what's going on out there. When you're out talking to people, like, because I think kids are the ones who are making their parents recycle.
Yeah.
They're really good about it. They're like the recycling police, which is wonderful. What do you get? What are some of the questions that you get that you find that you have to answer to really help create a little bit more awareness about what you do out there?
They're actually real simple questions, as you mentioned. They're kiddos, so parents are constantly ordering Amazon packages. Friday night at my house when I was that age, used to be pizza night.
Right.
So, can we recycle our pizza boxes? Can we recycle the styrofoam that comes in our new TV box, and things of that nature.
Mhm.
Um, but you're right, and you mentioned Miss Brandy Arguello, who does a fantastic job with education in our public school system. She's out there, and she's getting that education to the youngsters, and it's not just a boring class lesson. She really interacts with the kids. She's got fun games. She gives prizes, and I've seen it here. Like when they come on the tours, they're super excited. They're ecstatic, and they're asking questions left and right. The glass. We when we show them the end product of our glass cullet,
Yeah.
they are so amazed by it. They're like, wow. And then of course we have trucks coming in and out all day, and they're like, oh my god, look at that truck. But yes, pizza boxes, styrofoam, plastic bags are the most common questions.
Yeah, that makes sense. It is interesting because there's so much happening out there, and that's why I'm really excited about this series. Just because, I've been a user of your facilities on a regular basis, and very grateful for that. And I look forward to uplifting. And I just want to commend your crew out there because every single time I've gone out there, either to drop off an old washer that I worked really hard to try and save, and it wasn't going to work. The part was too expensive, more than the washer was worth.
Right.
Your crew has always been like all there, and they're so good at what they do. So if you can please extend that thank you
Most
to them, I'd appreciate that. Daniel Ortega is the Recycling Operations Foreman at the South Central Solid Waste Authority, and today was part of our authority, the Authority in Your Neighborhood, which is a monthly series in partnership with the South Central Solid Waste Authority. These videos drop the first Wednesday. I'll get that correct someday. The first Wednesday of every month at 3 o'clock. And if you'd like to learn more about the services and the programs at the South Central Solid Waste Authority, you can go to their website. You can see it either above or below, all depending on what platform you're on. And the Authority in Your Neighborhood videos will be in your inbox on the first Wednesday of every month at 3 o'clock. Daniel, it is such a pleasure. I know I'm going to see you out there because I'm cleaning out my garage, and there are things that I'm going to repurpose. There are things that I'm going to recycle. And there are things I'm going to kind of hold on to see if I can do something different with them. So I know I will be seeing you soon.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Great seeing you.